Manchester United have been told by PSG to pay 59 million for Ugarte or no deal. Ligt hands in transfer request at Bayern, trying to force a move to United. Eriksen and Mctominay bids, plus all of the latest Manchester United news and talk. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this evening's show. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on today's episode. Let's try and see 1,000 likes. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. I'm live every single day at 8:30, 1:30 and 6. Please get involved. Right, let's get straight on with it. So much to get into on the show today. I want to first start off by asking you a question, and I'm going to ask you this. How much is Manuel Ugarte worth? How much? Let me know. Let me know in the comment section. I'll do a poll as well for those of you who are watching live. So it would be, how much is Ugarte worth? I'll give you mine in a minute. So we'll do 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, 60 million. There you go. Everyone get involved. Obviously, if you're watching back on repeat, you can't get involved in the polls because they're only for the live chat. But if you do want to watch the videos live, then make sure you do that in the future. But I'll give you my answer in a minute. This is in pounds, by the way. How much is Manuel Ugarte worth in pounds? Obviously, I'll bring you the news about him in a couple of minutes' time as well. But first of all, I want to start with some positivity because I think it's always good to start a show with positive news. And the positive news I've got for you is that Rasmus Hojlund is Manchester United's new number 9, taking the shirt from Anthony Martial, who's obviously left the club. So let's all send our good wishes and good energy to Rasmus Hojlund, the new number 9 for Manchester United. I actually reckon he's going to have a great season this year, Rasmus. I'm really, really hopeful that it's going to be a big year for him. I think last year was very frustrating, not because he played badly, but just because he didn't get any game time. But now that Amad Diallo is going to get opportunities, I think Rasmus is going to get so many goals next year. So really, really excited about that. But let's move on straight with the news, and so much to get into. So let's just jump straight on into that, shall we? Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about today is about Sporting Lisbon midfielder Morton Hjulmand. Hopefully I've said his name right. I do apologise if I haven't. So this story came out a couple of hours ago from multiple different journalists saying that apparently Manchester United have approached Sporting Lisbon over a deal for the 25-year-old central defensive midfielder Morton Hjulmand. He is a Danish international. I think he's decent. I've seen him play a couple of times before in the past. Apparently Man United tried to sign him before he moved to Sporting Lisbon. He moved last summer for a fee of around 19 million euros, so not for very much. He now has a release clause of 69 million pounds, which is crazy, absolutely crazy. But apparently there is an understanding from Sporting Lisbon that they know that when a big club comes in for one of their players, it's very difficult to keep them. And apparently a deal could be struck for somewhere around 40 to 50 million euros. Now, is he as good as Fofana, Ugarte and Zubimendi? I don't think so, to be honest. I would probably have him pretty far down on my list of options. My preference still is Zubimendi number 1, Fofana number 2, then it would be Ugarte, and then I'd have Hojlund as the 4th option, just as the kind of very, very last option. But he's an interesting profile. He is very much a CDM, very strong, good on the ball. But I just think that this is another example of Manchester United being used to try and get a player a move to another club. And I think, if anything, that this is Ineos playing mind games with PSG. I think that's what's going on at the moment. And I know it's frustrating for all of the fans who are sat at home saying the season starts 3 weeks on Friday and we don't have a CDM and we've only signed one centre-back. And I know people are like, what's going on? I get it. But at the moment, it's a game of cat and mouse. Manchester United are trying to win the battle with PSG and Bayern Munich. And they're struggling. And that's not any fault of Ineos. That's just because PSG and Bayern Munich are driving a hard bargain, all right? They know who their number 1 targets are. It's Ligt and Manuel Ugarte, but they are struggling to get those deals over the line. And effectively, they don't want to overpay for these players. So, yeah, it's a really, really complicated situation at the moment, you know? Melchett says, how would you rank them if they're all the same price? That's a good question. Really good question. If all 4 of those players were the same price, I would go Zubimendi number 1, Manuel Ugarte number 2, Fofana number 3, and Hjulmand number 4. If they were all the same price, but they're not. So it's kind of a... I get the question, and I understand what you're trying to do because you want to see which are my favourite players. Craig says, would it need to be a double pivot or does he work on his own? It would have to be a double pivot, mate. There are very, very few lone CDMs, number 6s left in world football now. Like, very few. I would say probably the only one I can think of, like, really, really is Rodri, really. There's probably some others I've forgotten about. But, yeah, my preference is still Zubimendi. I think he's the closest option to a player who could play as a holding number 6 on his own. We've got a super chat coming in from Hailstorm. Thank you for your support, mate. I really, really appreciate it. Hailstorm says 6 players out by the end of the window. What do you think? Mate, 6 players should be the minimum. Absolute minimum for me. I'm going to go through some outgoings in a minute, but off the top of my head, right? Hannibal, that's 1. Lindelof, definitely. Maguire, definitely. Mctominay, definitely. That's already 4. Then you've got people like Wan-Bissaka, that's 5. Anthony, loan, definitely. Casemiro, definitely. Eriksen, definitely. That's 8 players already. Like, and that's not really even me thinking about it properly, you know? So, yeah, for me personally, 6 players leaving, I don't think it's even enough. I think we need to be looking for more than that. But let me know, how many players do you think Manchester United should be looking to move on this summer? And also let me know what players that should be. Like, who do you think should be going? We're going to be talking about some outgoings later on in the video. But thank you for the super chat, mate. I really appreciate it. 6 players probably is more realistic, being honest. Like, me saying 8 or 9, nobody's going to buy Maguire. Don't think anybody's going to want Anthony. And I don't think anybody wants Casemiro. But the other ones, the Hannibals, the McTominays, the Lindelofs, the Wan-Bissakas, like, those are all players that we can easily move on this summer. Ginge says we should get rid of 10 players. Top Dog says 9. Crazy. We'll do a poll on that in a minute, actually, of how many players we should be moving on this summer, because I think it's always good to see, where we're at. What else are people saying? Daz says, how come we're struggling to sell any of our players? Mate, the problem with Manchester United, and I know I bang on about money all the time, and some people don't like it, but I think it's the most important factor. The reason we can't get rid of any of our players is because they're all on stupid wages. Maguire's on 200 grand a week. He's got 1 year left of his contract. Why would anybody give us any money for Harry Maguire when they've then got to go and pay him 200 grand a week? That's about £10 million a year in wages. That would be the highest earner at, like, let's have a look at, say, West Ham, right? I would say that Harry Maguire is a West Ham quality player. Maybe not even. Maybe even a lower team than that. So the highest earner at West Ham is Lucas Paquetá, who, before obviously all of these gambling match-fixing allegations, was probably one of the most exciting central attacking midfielders in the Premier League, right? Man City were about to buy him. Would we agree on that, Lucas Paquetá? He earns 150 grand a week. He's West Ham's highest earner. The next highest earner is on 100, and that's Jared Bowen. So Harry Maguire earns 50 grand more a week than what West Ham's highest earning player earns. And that's why we can't sell them. Because clubs look at the total package. They don't just look at a transfer fee. They look at how much wages, they look at signing on fees, they look at agent commissions and all the rest of it. And, Harry Maguire sat there on 200k a week with 1 year left of his deal. Why would anybody in their right mind want to buy him? Like, it's just not good business, is it? They could wait 12 months and get him for free and probably not have to pay him 200 grand a week either. Because at the moment, Harry Maguire's thinking, well, I can stay at United. He earns £10 million. I've got his wages up here, £10 million a season. That's his base rate. And I think there's bonuses as well. So Maguire will be sat there saying, I'm happy at Manchester United. I don't mind being a squad rotation player. I'm earning double the amount of money I could earn anywhere else. I'm not going anywhere. Why would I? So unless a club comes along, matches his wages, and gives Manchester United enough money to go and sign a replacement, we're not going to be able to sell him. And that's why I get so frustrated with the rot that the Glazers have put us under. Like, that is why we're in such a bad place financially, is because of the wages. And then if you flip that over to someone like Lindelof, right? Lindelof's only on 100k a week. So that's still a lot of money, don't get me wrong. But it still makes him a lot more obtainable for lots of other clubs around Europe, because a club will look at Lindelof and say, he's 29, He's the captain of the Swedish national team. He's obviously, he played for Benfica before. He's got a good mentality. 100 grand a week, that sounds about right. And he could go in as one of the top earners. Whereas, like the Maguires and the Antonys, Maguire's on 200, Antony's on 200, even Christian Eriksen. Christian Eriksen earns 150k a week at Manchester United, which is the same amount of money as what Lucas Paquetá earns at West Ham. And he's the top earner. So that's why we can't sell anybody. And that's why we have so much deadwood, as somebody called it in the chat. I'll be honest, I hate that term. I do. I think it's pretty horrible, but I get what you're saying. And it does make sense, obviously. Like, they are deadwood. But to describe a human being as deadwood is kind of horrible. But I understand your point. Like, yeah. But I don't usually use that word. I usually say surplus to requirements. I think that's kind of the best way to describe them, Like, we don't require them anymore, effectively. Right, let's see what people are saying in the chat. Red Devil 05 says that we should get rid of Casemiro, McTominay, Maguire, Antony, Lindelof, Eriksen. Again, mate, it's just difficult, Casemiro, the only option is Saudi. He's on 350k a week. When he played for Real Madrid, he was on 150k a week. So he's earned nearly 3 times the salary of what Real Madrid were paying him. Take in mind that he won, I think, 3 Champions Leagues in a row at Real Madrid. We haven't even won a title in 10 years. So the situation is the same. But people like McTominay, we can move on McTominay because he's not on big wages. McTominay's only on about 60k a week, which makes it easy to sell him. And it makes him more an attractive proposal for other teams. In relation to McTominay, apparently Fulham are set to submit a second bid today for Scott McTominay. They had a bid rejected yesterday of £16 million. And there is an understanding that McTominay to Fulham is a deal that could be likely to go through. He has travelled with the squad to the Tour of America. The plane set off today. We'll talk about that in a minute, about who's gone and who hasn't. So you're not going to get anything immediate, but I think the last game is next week anyway, so it's not a massive big deal. I know some people get like really, really obsessed where they're like, oh, McTominay's on the plane. That means he's staying. But literally they come back. Let's have a look. The last game is on the 4th of August, which is, next Sunday. So they fly to America today and then they fly back on next Sunday. So they'll be back in Manchester a week on Sunday. So in the grand scheme of things, it's just, effectively they're just going away for a week. It's not. It doesn't mean that McTominay's getting a new contract just because he's going on the pre-season tour. Like, the thing you have to remember is when these clubs do these pre-season tours with their sponsors and all the rest of it, they have to guarantee that a certain number of first-team players go. They can't just take the youth squad. Like, if Erik ten Hag got his way, he would probably send the youth squad to America and stay in England and just do pre-season friendlies at Carrington with no crowds. Because that's way better preparation for them than it is flying to America. I think they go in LA, they go in New York. They're flying across the whole of America in the space of a week. Different time zones, jet lag. Like, it's not good preparation, but obviously they do it because it brings in sponsorships. It brings in ticket revenue. Apparently the tickets for this America tour are like £100 starting minimum. And it's like 90,000 people stadiums. So like, even if you just work that out on a really basic level, the ticket revenue for each of those games is going to be like £10 million plus all the sponsorship deals, plus all the rest of it. So yeah, we know that managers don't like these pre-season tours. And just because Erik ten Hag has taken McTominay and Eriksen and Maguire and all the rest of it, it doesn't then mean that they're going to stay. We've got over 1,000 people in the room already, which is amazing. Big ups to every single one of you. If you could do me a small favour and smash a like, that would be really, really appreciated. I've set a likes target of 1,000 for today's video. And we are very, very close to 33,000 subscribers. I did promise that if we hit 33k today, I will give out 10 memberships. So let's see if we can do that by the end of the video. And at 40k, we're going to be giving out 2 Manchester United shirts again. So obviously we did that at 30k. I'm already speaking to the people who've won the shirts. I think there's a guy called James and I can't remember the other guy's name, but I'm sure he's in the chat. And then when we hit 40k, guys, I'm going to give out 2 more of the brand new Manchester United shirts. It's important to give back and I appreciate your support. So make sure you subscribe and there will be 2 more Manchester United shirts when we hit 40k. You can have whatever name you want on the back, whatever number. So yeah, soon that will be hopefully given out. Alex is saying that apparently he's seen tickets for resale for £60. Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising. £100 is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Like, if you wanted to go to the FA Cup final at Wembley, right? It was about £600-700 for a ticket. Like, that's how many people want to go and see Manchester United. It's crazy. Anyway, let's move on from all of that, though. Keep getting your comments in and your polls in and stuff. So, yeah, we've spoke about McTominay. Fulham apparently set to put in a second bid today. And apparently Galatasaray are still interested. But I'm going to be honest, I'm not really paying attention to Galatasaray because I just don't think they can afford Manchester United's asking price. We spoke about Galatasaray before, right? Their highest ever transfer fee was like 15 million euros. And Manchester United have already rejected a 17 million pounds bid by Fulham. So unless Galatasaray are going to break their record signing, then I don't see how they think they can get McTominay. You know, it just doesn't really add up to me. I know, like, they have got some good players. I know, obviously, Zaha's there. There's a couple of other people who ended up moving there, wasn't there, to Galatasaray. But, yeah, their highest ever transfer fee was in 2001, and it was Jardel from Porto to Galatasaray for 17 million euros. So it's all good and well Galatasaray saying that they want McTominay, but if they can't pay the money, then they're not going to get him. And for me personally, unless we're going to get 30 million for McTominay, I personally wouldn't sell him, because when you look at the current market, right? McTominay's what, 26? If we can't get 30 million for McTominay, then how do PSG think that Ugarte's worth 70 million? I'm sorry. I know they play in different positions, and I know that Ugarte's better than McTominay, but McTominay is easily a £30 million player. He is. We saw Max Kilman went to West Ham from Wolves for 45 million. Max Kilman. I mean, before last season, I barely even knew who he was. 27 years of age. He's older than McTominay. I think he had 1 year left of his deal. And he's literally just moved for, let me just double check my prices are right there. Yeah, 47.5 million. Wolves sold Max Kilman to West Ham. And we're being told that 30 million for McTominay is unreasonable. That it doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. So I think Man United will get the money they want for McTominay. Apparently around £30 million is the asking price. And I wouldn't go any lower than that. I would probably keep him, you know. The only thing is he does only have 1 year left of his deal, McTominay. So if we don't sell him now, there is always the chance that in January he'll agree and move somewhere else. But you would hope that he wouldn't do that. Obviously, with him being, you know, someone who's come through the youth academy, I'd be very surprised if McTominay ran down his contract. Because the likelihood is, if we don't sell McTominay, by the end of the window, he'll get a new contract. I bet you any money. Like, I can already see it being discussed now. They're saying, if a big bid comes in, we'll sell him. And if it doesn't, we'll keep him. You know? But yeah, you can let me know what you think about McTominay. I know McTominay's like Marmite, isn't he? Some people love him, some people hate him. Maybe not hate, that's a strong word, but dislike, let's say. Some people love McTominay, some people dislike him. But yeah, let's move over from that though, and let's move on to Victor Lindelof quickly. So this is coming out from Sky Sports this evening. Apparently, a number of European clubs are trying to sign Lindelof this summer. Again, he's another player with only 1 year left of his contract. Another player who is really a problem for Manchester United, because if they don't sell him now, he's going to leave for free. And that could be potentially, I think you could get upwards of 15 million for Lindelof. You know, 29 years of age, captain for Sweden. He's relative, you know, he's not like he's lost his legs or anything, has he? He's still like probably in his prime right now. So I would sell Lindelof 100% without a shadow of a doubt. But again, it has to be for the right amount of money. We need to get about 15 million for him. We need to get enough money so we can go and reinvest that. I personally, right, and this might cause a bit of upset, but obviously the whole point of football is that you have opinions. I personally would sell Lindelof and go and use that money to buy Trevor Chalobah. He's apparently available for 25 million. And the thing that I like about Trevor Chalobah is that he can play at left back, left-sided centre-back, right-sided centre-back, and also at right-back. And he can play as a CDM as well. So Trevor Chalobah can operate across 5 positions in the team. Like, that's not normal. You know? Imagine Maguire at right-back. Imagine Maguire as a CDM. Like, Maguire can play as a right-sided centre-back, and that's it, pretty much. If you put him on the left-hand side of the defensive two, he looks out of place, doesn't he? Whereas you've got someone there in Trevor Chalobah, who for some reason, I was speaking to my friend, a really, really good friend earlier, who is a diehard Chelsea fan, and I said, Man United want Trevor Chalobah. The links are everywhere. Apparently we're in talks with Chelsea. Like, what's he like? Because, I only watch Chelsea twice a year, really, when they play Man United or when they play like a big team. I don't watch Chelsea regularly, so I can't really comment on him. But he said, Trevor Chalobah is quality. He thought he was really, really good. But what he did say is that apparently Trevor Chalobah isn't the best player for a possession-based team. And apparently the new Chelsea manager wants to play a more possession-based style at Chelsea, and that's why they're trying to sell him. So that kind of explains it. But yeah, for me personally, I would happily let Lindelof go, and I would happily bring in Trevor Chalobah as his replacement. As a backup, we're talking 4th or 5th choice centre-back here. Like, not first choice. Somebody in the chat saying that apparently Manchester United want Marcus Alonso. Oh, really? Okay, yeah, there we go. So there's some breaking news. Thank you for bringing me that. So this is coming out from Samuel Luckhurst, Manchester Evening News. He's reporting that apparently Manchester United are open to signing a new left-back this summer. We'll talk about that in a minute because a new left-back is absolutely essential. I've got a video coming out later on today about this, but apparently Malacia is injured again. He's only just come back, and apparently he's injured again. But and apparently the 2 top options are Marcus Alonso. Really? I don't believe that, to be honest. I think that's a rubbish story. Why would Manchester United want Marcus Alonso? He's 33. Ineos supposedly are only looking for players under the age of 25. Why in any world would we go for Marcus Alonso? I think honestly that's probably the most stupid story I've heard today. But at the end of the day, it is a news show. And then it says the other option is David Hanko. He's quality. Absolutely quality. Plays for Feyenoord. Can play as a left-sided centre-back and can play as a left-back. And he's a ball-playing defender. He's very, very good on the ball. Another Eredivisie player that's probably going to upset some people in the chat today. That's another, before you know it, we will have the Eredivisie past and present, won't we? Yeah. Marcus Alonso is a no. I'm sorry. Like, I would rather have Reguilon than Marcus Alonso. I don't understand where Samuel Luckhurst has got this story from. I think he's just put it out there to cause upset, Like, what does he expect the Manchester United fan base to say when a story breaks saying that we're going to go for Marcus Alonso? Obviously, it's a news show, so I bring you the news. Like, somebody's saying it in the chat, so I'm going to read it out because, Samuel Luckhurst is a journalist who reports for Manchester. He's. I don't want to say he's credible because I know a lot of people don't like him, but he does go to the press conferences and he has better information than me or you does, So, but still, like Marcus Alonso. David Hanko, though, he would be a quality signing. I would love to see him at Manchester United. I would rather see him than Ligt. I think he's a better player than Ligt when you consider all the injuries and stuff as well. And the fact that he can play as a left-back, his primary position is left-sided centre-back, but he can play as a left-sided centre-back, right-sided centre-back, and as a left-back. I mean, that would tick all of our boxes in one move. 26 years of age, so he's just kind of within our age profile that we're looking for, because apparently Ineos want all of the players to be around the age of 25 or under, so he fits that profile. Money-wise, he's available for £30 million. It's an absolute no-brainer. I would go and get him right now. Go to Feyenoord, give them it's 30 million euros they want. Not even pounds. I would go and sign him right now, without a shadow of a doubt. That's £25 million. And I know people are going to say, oh, not another Eredivisie player. Oh, like, I get it. But you have to look at these players and say, is there a better option out there? for £25 million? I don't think so. And I don't really care whether Erik ten Hag knows the players or not. Like, I think that's better in some ways. Obviously, Ruud van Nistelrooy will know the players as well because he coached in the Eredivisie. So I've got no problem with that. I would bring him in because we can't rely on Luke Shaw and Malacia. We can't. We just simply can't do it. So yeah, if it was up to me, I would go and get David Hanko, wave goodbye to Trevor Chalobah. Obviously, we can only go after players that we're linked to, you know, so I can only react to names that are mentioned. And for me personally, David Hanko would be absolutely perfect. From what I've seen of him at Feyenoord, he looks quality. And yeah, I like the idea that he obviously knows Ten Hag. He knows Ruud van Nistelrooy. He obviously knows Rene Haak as well. All three of those managers are Eredivisie managers, aren't they? Ruud van Nistelrooy is, Rene Haak is, and Ten Hag is. So yeah, it's a yes from me. Marcus Alonso is like, I want to go and bury my head in the sand. Whereas David Hanko, I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool. That sounds like a good signing. I can get into that. Somebody's trying to troll me saying that we've got a here we go Marcus Alonso to Manchester United. If we get a here we go Marcus Alonso to Manchester United, I will literally just end the stream and go and cry in the garden. I genuinely would. Like, I wouldn't even know what to say. Imagine my reaction video to we've just signed Marcus Alonso. It'd be bad enough if we got someone like Reguilon, but I would probably rather play Amrabat at left back than Marcus Alonso. I'm not trying to disrespect Marcus Alonso. I just think he's one of those names that maybe like 10 years ago you'd say, oh yeah, that's a good signing. But yeah, it's a no from me. But let me know what you think. Maybe you're like, Marcus Alonso's quality. What are you on about? Stefan says Milos Kerkez is a better option. Oh yeah, definitely, mate. But he's going to cost a lot more. That's the problem. Like, we need to look at the players as well as their prices. So I know we all have our favourites. You know, some people want Kerkez, some people want Kadioglu, like some people want David Hanko. Like, we all have the people that we want, right? But you have to look at the whole picture. So yeah, for me, Hanko would be quality. But let me know, who would you go for as the new left back? I just think he ticks all the boxes because he can play as centre back and as left back. That's why they wanted Branthwaite, remember? They wanted Branthwaite because he can play centre back and left back. And this David Hanko guy is kind of the same mould as Branthwaite. You know, he's versatile. We've got over 1,300 people in the room now, guys, but we've only got 500 likes. I've set a likes target of 1,000. So if everybody who's watching right now likes the video, we will hit that target. And we are very, very close to 33k now. I'm going to be giving out some memberships if we hit 33k by the end of today's video. And as I said a couple of minutes ago, I'm promising 2 more Manchester United shirts when we hit 40k. We gave out 2 when we hit 30k. And when we hit the next big milestone, which is 40k, I'll give out another 2. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. I've just dropped a link into the chat. Let's move over to Matthias de Ligt then. I've got a little bit sidetracked today, which I guess is fine. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about de Ligt. So the story coming out in the last couple of minutes, sorry, in the last like hour or so about de Ligt is apparently he has gone to the Bayern Munich board and effectively pleaded with them and said, you know what? I want to leave. Handed in his transfer request. I want to go to Manchester United. And at the moment, they're blocking the deal from happening because the price that they're asking for is unrealistic. They're asking for £42 million plus add-ons. 50 million euros for a player that spent most of last season injured. And when he wasn't injured, he was sat on the bench and Eric Dyer was starting ahead of him. So I can see why de Ligt is frustrated here because he's got, let's be honest, Man United are a bigger club than Bayern Munich. They are. You've got a bigger club coming in for you with Erik ten Hag as the manager, who was his manager at Ajax. He was the manager that got him the move to Juventus. You know, he was effectively part of his development, right? And they're saying, no, we're not going to allow you to go for less than 42 million. So he's gone in there and said, you know, I want to leave. I want to go. Let me go. Whether or not that makes any difference, I don't know. Like, he's got like 4 years left of his deal. It's not like he's got a year left and he says, I want to go, and they say, okay, goodbye. Like, he's got a 4-year contract on big wages. So it's all good and well him handing in a transfer request. But come the beginning of the season, I'm sure he's going to happily continue playing for Bayern and happily pick up his 200k a week wages. But yeah, so the story's coming out from Sport Build. Let me just give you the full... I've given you an overview, but it says that Sport Build are reporting today that apparently Matthias de Ligt is now growing increasingly agitated with Bayern Munich. It says, with the deal having failed to make any progress, de Ligt has apparently made it abundantly clear to the Bayern Munich bosses that he wants to leave the club and move to Manchester United. So, fair play to de Ligt. He's doing everything possible to try and force through the move, but we're still in the same place. Yeah, hopefully he just doesn't train. Hopefully he just refuses to train and says, I want to go, let me go. I don't want to be back up to Eric Dyer. Like, I'm sorry, that is embarrassing though, isn't it? Like, imagine that, right? You're 24 years of age. You've played for Ajax, Juventus and Bayern Munich. And you're now sat on the bench and Eric Dyer's ahead of you. That must be soul destroying, you know? Eric Dyer is one of the most average centre-backs I think I've ever seen in my life. So average. And there will be people in the chat saying, why are we going for de Ligt if Dyer's ahead of him? I don't know the answer to that. I don't watch Bayern Munich every single week to give you an honest answer. And I'm not going to pretend that I can make up something because I honestly don't know. I honestly think the reason we're going for de Ligt is that we see an opportunity. We see a player who should be available for much less than his potential market value is, right? Man United look at that situation and think, de Ligt is probably worth 25, 30 million at the moment because of his injuries, because of his lack of playing, because of the fact he wants to leave, because he's, back up to Dyer, etc., etc. But if de Ligt comes to Manchester United and does well, he could easily be a 70, 80 million pound centre-back because he was that before, wasn't he? Bayern paid, I think, 70 million for him. Juventus paid about 70 million for him. So at points, he was a 70, 80 million pound player. But at the moment, I think he is kind of at rock bottom, isn't he? Yeah, I don't know where this saga is going to go now, to be honest. I just feel like we're going to go around in circles. And that's why I'm quite keen for us to go for this David Hanko, because he ticks all the boxes and he's available for a reasonable amount of money. I just don't want to spend the next month of the transfer window talking about de Ligt. Our first Premier League game is in 3 weeks. And we play Man City in the Community Shield in 2 weeks. We need to do something now. We need to act. We need a CDM and we need a centre-back. Big ups to Alex, who's just gifted a membership to the Daily Red Devil Members Club. Thank you very much for your support, my friend. I hope you are doing well today. Whoever got gifted the membership, make sure you say thank you to Alex in the chat. Thank you for doing that, mate. Really, really appreciate it. Ronaldo Matthew says, I would pick Dyer over Maguire. I don't know. I think Maguire is good in certain games. So yeah, we'll have to... Yeah, I honestly just think now, if Man United can go for an alternative option, they should just do that. Because I don't think there's any value in paying £42 million for Matthias de Ligt. I really don't. Like, it's not a good deal. It's not. It's only a good deal for Bayern Munich. So yeah, for me, it's a pass. Okay, let's move on from that though. I just want to check if there's any breaking news because I can see some people saying stuff in the chat, but a lot of the time when people say stuff, it's just people trying to troll me. So let me just check. No, there was somebody saying that Marcus Alonso to United is a here we go, and I was like, oh my god. I was thinking I don't know if I can do this. I'm gonna have to go. Yeah, they were just trolling me. Okay, let's move on to Manuel Ugarte. So the news this evening about Ugarte is that apparently Man United have been in talks again with PSG over the Ugarte deal. This was coming out from Fabrizio a couple of hours ago. And the story remains the same. The deal is there to be done. £59 million Manuel Ugarte deal is there on the table. 70 million euros. And again, it's another club thinking we can be taken for a bunch of fools. They still think that the Glazers are running the football side of the club. They still think that they can say whatever price they want and we will pay it. They probably think we'll give them more than what they want, you know? I wouldn't be surprised if that's what the Glazers did. I mean, in fact, the Glazers did do that. Do you remember 2 years ago, right? We were offered Anthony for 30 million euros, and Manchester United said no. And then a month later, they paid 100 million for him. So the Glazers did used to do that. They would pay more than what the club actually wanted for them in the first place. And you know what? I really respect Ineos for stamping their feet in the ground. And I know it's frustrating for me or you. I know we want signings. I know we're like, what's going on? Like, get on with it. But I would much rather us not spend money than us get ripped off. Because we're in the mess that we're in now, not because of Ineos, because of the Glazers. Because of 10 plus years of bad management of this club. So all of the blame is still on the Glazers. It's nothing to do with Ineos. If anything, Ineos, so far, have done a very good job in the transfer window, I think. You know, they've got rid of some players. They got rid of Greenwood. They got rid of, obviously, Donny. They got rid of Varane, Willy Campoala, Brandon Williams. Like, a lot of players have left the club this summer. But obviously now it's just whether we can get our top signings for the price we want. And I would be more than happy if Manchester United walk away from Ligt and Ugarte. I'm done with both of them. I am. If we can't get them for a fair market value, then I don't want either of them. You know? I don't think either of them are world class, to be honest. Do you? Like, I don't think either of them are worth the prices that are being asked for them. 70 million for Ugarte, euros. 50 million for Ligt. Like, that isn't a good deal. I'm sorry, it just isn't. Whereas this David Hanko guy, I know he's not an as trendy name, right? But for £25 million, you're getting somebody around the same age who is probably as good at the moment. Obviously, he's playing in the Eredivisie, so it's a lower level. But yeah, I just think that we can get better players than what's currently available to us. Joe says, what's going on with Mazraoui? In relation to Mazraoui, apparently he's Manchester United's #1 target for the right-back position. Maybe there's a world where we can get Mazraoui and Ligt for some sort of package deal. I don't know. But the way it's going today and the way it's going at the moment, we'll probably go in for Mazraoui and they'll ask for 50 million. Like, Bayern Munich are taking us for a bunch of fools, I think. So it's all good and well us saying, you know, let's get Mazraoui, but yeah, it's just not realistic, I don't think, at the moment, until we know what's going on with Ligt. Maria's saying, has Ligt put in a transfer request? Yeah, apparently so. But Balvinda says, but Erik ten Hag wants Ligt though. Yeah, he does want Ligt, mate, but the point I'm making here is, right, get Erik ten Hag his signings, but don't overpay. Because that's what we did before. He wanted Anthony. We paid 100 million for him. He wanted... who else did he want? There's probably some others that we overpaid for. But Anthony's the prime example, isn't it? Somebody says, can we not ask Bayern for a discount? Apparently not, mate. Apparently Bayern is saying, give us the money or go away, effectively. So, yeah. It's all good and well me getting angry about it. But Bayern hold all the cards. Bayern hold all the cards here. And that's the fact of the matter. Let's have a look how we're doing. We're 3/4 of the way to our likes target now, which is amazing. Let's get to the 1,000 by the end of the video. And we're less than 200 subscribers away from 33k. I am going to give out 10 memberships if we hit 33k today. So anybody who's not watching, please go and subscribe. It's completely free. Doesn't cost any money. So yeah, please go and do that. John says, what's going on with Amrabat? Somebody wants a poll on the fullback, so let's do that. Let's do that quickly. So, who should United sign as new fullback? So we're going to do David Hanko. We're going to do Kadioglu. We're going to do... Who else are we going to do? What other names do you want me to put in the poll? We've got Kadioglu, we've got David Hanko, we've got Kirkes, and we've got Mazraoui. I've probably spelt their names wrong, but I'm just having to do it on the go. So those are the 4 players that we've been kind of linked to in the right back and left back position. So yeah, let me know who you would go for. I would probably go with David Hanko, to be honest. I think the fact that he can play at both sides, centre back, left-sided centre back, right-sided centre back, and as a left back, I think he'd be really, really good. So yeah, I would go with him. But yeah, someone's asking about Sofyan Amrabat. In relation to Amrabat, apparently Man United are still negotiating with Fiorentina. There is an expectation that a deal can be done. Whether it will or not, I don't know. It all depends, doesn't it? I just feel like the Amrabat transfer is kind of a backup for Manchester United. You know, he's not the number one option. We all know that. He's the plan B, Sofyan Amrabat. So I don't think we'll see a Amrabat. I called him Amrabat then. I don't think we'll see a Amrabat here we go anytime soon. I would be very, very surprised. I think it will be one that happens later on in the window, because the way that Manchester United see it is the longer we make Amrabat wait and the longer we make Fiorentina wait, the cheaper he'll cost. That's the situation here, because Fiorentina need to sell. If they don't sell him now, he'll leave for free, because in January he can agree to move to another club for free because his contract's up. So I would literally make Fiorentina sweat. I would make them wait and wait and wait and wait. And then as the window comes to an end, go and submit a bid, a low bid, and you'll probably get him. Because he's not going to be a starting midfielder anyway. You know, the midfield will be Bruno, Mainu and Casemiro, realistically, at the moment. And Ugarte if we get him.